The Hornets return to Premier League action on Saturday when they welcome Stoke City in the Premier League. Reg, what can we expect from Stoke generally?
We can definitely expect not the similar Stoke what we're used to seeing with Tony Pulis. I think Mark Hughes has gone in there. He's really kind of definitely played a lot more football, and what we're used to seeing with Tony Pulis, kind of get the ball direct, get it long. Definitely Crouch will be playing every game, Walters will be playing every game, but that's not the case. And the main two people who are a sign of where Stoke have gone with Mark Hughes are the two centre halves, Walshide and Muniesa. Muniesa, Spanish left-footed centre half, came from Barcelona's second team, but a very capable footballer on the ball. Walshide, German. He's also very, very capable. Maybe not so much as Muniesa, but both of them can take the ball into midfield and play. What we're used to seeing with Stoke teams is centre halves who want to defend. We've just seen it with Leicester with Morgan and Hoot, who just literally want to defend. There's nothing wrong with that, but definitely Mark Hughes is trying to implement the more footballing side at Stoke.
So starting at the back then, looking at the back five, you touched on the centre-backs, but full-backs as well, and Butland in goal. Will they look to play out from the back, or is it still sort of getting a bit more forward, or is that sort of what they're doing now, playing out and building from the back?
When it's right to play out, they do, and that's what I like about Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes plays a reality game. He knows that football and the way football should be played, or the way his philosophy is, and there's definitely a lot of realism in that. He's got Peters playing left back, Cameron, I'm guessing, may play right back, and you've mentioned Butland. I think he's having a fantastic season, probably the top performer in terms of goalkeepers. Now, that's not taking that away from the top goalkeepers. We have Gomez here, Lloris at Tottenham. There is some really, really top performing goalkeepers, but Jack Butland has been tested massively this year playing for Stoke, and no disrespect to Stoke as I say that, but he's had some fantastic performances. But most occasions he will look to kick. Most teams now in the Premier League will press on, and he's not going to overly try and force it. Bournemouth tried to force it against these, and Stoke were in the position to be able to counter and win the ball back high up the pitch. They beat Bournemouth 3-1, and that's a kind of signal of where Mark Hughes has his team. They have them. He's well organised. We have them set up in a 4-2-3-1, which is what I'm predicting they're going to play, and they're just very good at pressing, holding their line, holding their shape, and then when they do win the ball back, they have the attacking threat now with Shaqiri, likes of Shaqiri. Dufy played the last game, Arnautovic is now coming into his own, and there's some really good threatening players in the attacking positions.
Yeah, so moving forward then, you've mentioned it, a 4-2-3-1. You've got the two midfielders in front of the back four, Glenn Whelan and Mbola, who cost a lot of money from Porto. What's their setup there in front there? Is it one go and one sit? Do they rotate, or what do they look to do?
Well, Whelan looks to sit a little bit more. He wants to have the extra bit of space on the ball. He probably not the most mobile in the first 5 or 10, but he will be up and down. He is a high energy midfield player. I just think Mark Hughes with Whelan has looked at his strengths and thought, okay, we're going to look at you just to sit. We're going to look at you to break the play up, win the ball. And Bula beside you, probably a better technical footballer, has to be said. Similar type of player, I just think has that extra little bit of ability to try and thread a ball through and find the attacking players, as we mentioned. But they will try and just play as a two, Whelan being the balancing act if Mbula steps in to attack. We've seen it a lot with Danny Drinkwater and Kante against Leicester, our last home game. We'll see it again with these two. Whelan will hold, and Mbula will just try to step in and get in little holes, be an extra option with the ball if it breaks down coming back, and he does have a good passing range.
And then going forward, these three here, you mentioned it, but three fantastic players in Afellay, Arnautovic and Shaqiri. How will they line up in this three here? Is it rigid, or do they sort of float in behind the front man?
No, what I think they have is they've got players now that they can rotate, they can move around. One thing that was difficult in their last game, I thought Mahrez was able to pick up good positions, and it was very hard to mark him. It's probably where the goal came from. He came all the way inside, joined as a third striker, picked up the ball from a clearance and was able to finish. Shaqiri, very similar, left-footed on the right-hand side, what we're used to seeing in the Premier League, and he looks to attack, but one thing he's very good at, Shaqiri, he looks to attack up and down the line. So what you'll see Shaqiri doing, he's going to go inside, but he'll also run the line. And what he's seen so many times, he's so quick over 2 and 3 yards. He can just do a little Cruyff turn, get a delivery in the box, and we've seen Arnautovic, which plays here, very difficult to mark the big man. He arrives late around the back post. You've got Diouf or Walters, and the reason we say Diouf or Walters because it's interesting to see what will Mark Hughes do against Watford. Will he look to attack? Will he look for that pace that Diouf has? Try and stretch the game, try and get a bit more space for his attacking three to really get on the ball in the gap in between the centre halves. defenders and the midfield, or does he play with Walter as a target man? Definitely a bit more direct, definitely a little bit more what we're used to seeing a typical Stoke team do. But as you mentioned before, Mark Hughes has his team playing a real nice brand of football that can play through the thirds.
It's interesting that point, Juve and Walters. I'd like to pick up on that a bit more. So you talk about the different styles of play they've got, and if each other plays, does it change the way Stoke play as such? If Walters plays it a bit more, get to the byline and cross in, and Juve stretch it and play in behind him, or does it change them at all?
Well, difficult to say really, because Walters can run the channel as well, and he does it really well. He actually set up the goal against Bournemouth. He picked up the ball on the right hand side, ran down the wing, was able to beat a player and set in for the midfielder. And he can offer that, but his main strength, his main ability is his strength up front, his physical presence, being able to throw defenders, and he's very clever with his weight. Obviously, I see him playing for Ireland quite a lot, and he's just very intelligent with his body and being able to use his body to be able to hold the ball up. If they use Walters, what you'll have is he'll try and play as high up as he can, dropping the centre halves in. What that'll create is massive space for Afellay to pick up the ball in these areas. Now, obviously, what we're used to seeing is we play with 2 or 3 holding midfield players, so we're guessing we'll be able to take him out of the game. Now it's up to these guys, Arnautovic and Shaqiri on the right hand side. I can see them rotating a little bit, trying to work it, trying to confuse the Watford back 4 and holding midfield players. That's where Walters will try and join it in. I think Walters' type of player, get a hold of it, get it wide. Get a hold of it, get it wide. Can you get crosses in the box? That's where I think Stoke will look to try and hurt us. If they use Diouf, he has to play a very similar game. He'll just run the channels a bit. He'll try and stretch it in behind. He'll try and move our centre-halves into these areas here. What he's going to try and do, that'll also, as he moves the players into there, stretch the game. Afellay has plenty of space to step in, be able to pick up the scraps or pick up second balls, or even be able to link off with the striker Diouf.
We've looked at their formation going forward a bit, but flip it around defensively. You think of sort of these 3 players we touched on here as attacking players. Do they drop in and defend, especially if one of the midfielders is going into attack as well? What's their formation, or what sort of shape are they when the other team and when we look to attack? Well,
definitely they do drop in a lot better than a 4-2-3-1 like we're used to seeing, and they will drop a lot more to help out. I think the striker will stay up on his own. He'll try and press. They don't overly look to press the centre halves and we're not going to let you play out. They drop back into a shape which is very difficult to break down. Not a lot of gaps in there, quite condensed in midfield, asking a lot of your attacking players and midfield players to try and find these little gaps. You have to be able to play quick against them. You have to mention as well their recent form. 3 wins in the last 5, 1 draw against Chelsea, and then obviously a 3-0 defeat against Everton, which is, it's difficult to look at. It just looked like they didn't turn up against Everton. A few chances early, and then all of a sudden they just their shape or whatever it was, Everton just been able to play. And you're looking at a little synopsis or what the way the game went. Everton just played that little bit quicker in midfield, and I just think that's key. They're going to want to press in midfield. You have to be able to play quick and play around the questionable mobility in that midfield, rotate players and try and create. Obviously, what you'll expect as well from Watford is they'll put some pressure on the centre halves early. They'll want these centre halves to have to play and not being able to obviously drop the ball off. But as I said, they're very capable on the ball, these 2 centre halves. Can they defend? That's what we're going to ask questions with the direct passes into Deeney and Ighalo. Can he get turned? Opportunities at goal from that, and obviously joining in midfielders from third man runs and attacking players in that extra third midfield.
Picking up on that point, I know you can't look too much at stats, but Jack Butland has made the most saves of any Premier League keeper this season, which is credit to him, but also suggests that, like you say, they are vulnerable at the back if you get at them. Absolutely.
And a lot of it as well is they can be vulnerable down the sides, crosses in the box. That's where we need to arrive well with good balance. But Jack Butland, top goalkeeper, always has been really. I've always rated him since he's gotten a team. I think he's been playing first team football since he's 19 in the league, and he's one to watch, certainly. He's involved with the England setup now, and he's really going to put pressure on Joe Hart, I believe. And that's a credit to him and his performances this season. But as you said, he's been made make the most saves this season, and he's being made work. And without him this season, I think Stoke would definitely be below where they currently are, 8th in the table on 43 points. I just think they can thank him for that and the position they're in. But every good team has a good goalkeeper. He's just doing his job of keeping the ball out of the net. But some of the saves he's made have been outstanding, it has to be said. But I just think as they drop back into these holes and defensive positions, it turns very into last-ditch tackles, last-ditch defending. It's not really as set up as when you see teams trying to break them down in midfield and find it very difficult. When they do break that middle third, just think it's just a little bit loose. There's some gaps that you'll be able to exploit in between the back four, and also I think our fullbacks will be massive getting down the line and creating 2v1 opportunities against the fullbacks, make them defend. Can we get crossing the box? And as I said, let's have a look how these guys defend. We know they're good on the ball. Let's see how they are capable of defending.